Hey, hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the editor. Well, I'm the founder and editor-in-chief. For a minute, I wanted to say Grand Poobah, like I normally do, right? And I thought, every once in a while, I like to throw in founder and editor-in-chief. So I ended up like, So I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief of the Gaming Gang. Welcome aboard. Tonight is Tuesday, July 14th, 2020. This is episode 513 of The Daily Dope. So if this is the first time you've decided to swing in and catch the show live, keep in mind, this is very, very casual. This is not rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination. It's just kicking back, talking tabletop gaming. So we talk about board games, card games, role-playing games, sometimes miniatures games. If it's on your tabletop, we're talking about it. And of course, as a reminder, if you like this video, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. If you do subscribe, ring that notification bell because it will not only let you know when I stream the Daily Dope live Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube. I'll also tell you when I upload other videos as well, such as my review of the Keeper Rulebook for 7th edition Call of Cthulhu. That popped up last night. If you have not checked it out, please do. Tonight, I will be unleashing my review of the Enemy in Shadows Companion for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition from Cubicle 7 Entertainment. So that one's tonight. So stay tuned. I got plenty of goodies going on. Hopefully we should see a new video up every night this week. Excuse me. It's awfully dry down here in the Duct Tape Studios tonight. I don't know why, because it seems rather humid outside. But do want to also mention, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. All right, I also do want to mention that since this is a live stream, that means chat is available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay, but I do my best to pay attention to chat. Sometimes it zips by pretty quick, but I do my best to kind of follow along in chat. So if you want to say howdy, or maybe you want to ask a quick question, or you've got a comment, by all means, fire away, and I will do my best to respond. So let's see who we've got. Uh-oh. John Vogel was saying that the audio and the video might be out of sync. That ain't good. All right, so we will see. We'll have some people chime in real quick. It could be. It's possible. I don't think it is because I did a resync earlier today. I'll get into that in just a minute. But first of all, we've got Dan from No Enemies here. The madman John Vogel has joined us tonight in chat. A Gray Day is here. Glenn Darren is also hanging with us tonight too. So thanks for popping in, everybody. So the madman says that the voice and video are in sync. Glenn Darren says everything's okay on their end. Dan from No Enemies Here says, yeah, everything's okay too. And Great A's like, click the thumbs as far as thumbing up the video. All right, so you probably noticed the video looks different tonight. So this is what I ended up doing because I shot the review for the Keeper rulebook, and the video looked really sharp, really nice. I think in photography terms, I think they call it like tack sharp focus or something like that. So it was about as sharp as it could possibly be, or at least what it looked like to me. And then when it ended up getting rendered on YouTube, it didn't look as good. So I was using the Sony a6000 as my overhead camera and my Panasonic G85 as my front-facing camera. Which I had also noticed that the G85, even though it would look like it was pretty sharp, sometimes that was not out of focus, but it was just a little, wasn't as sharp as I would like it to be. Now, trust me, it's not like I want to sit here and have everybody see every imperfection of my face. No. But it's usually a pretty good idea if you're going to have a 1080p video that things are sharper. So I swapped the cameras around. So now the Sony a6000 is facing this way, and the overhead camera is the Panasonic G85. Once again, these have prime lenses on them, so there is no autofocus. There is no zoom on these. It is a set focal length. And strangely enough, even though they are supposed to be the same exact focal length, they have the same size sensor in the cameras. You can see if you compare this video to other episodes over the past, I don't know, year of the Daily Dope, I'm further back, even though the camera was in the same exact spot. I've actually had to move the Sony closer to me just to get this close. So, which is also kind of strange because then I did my review of the Enemy in Shadows Companion, and I shot this with the new camera setup. And it was kind of funny because I had to actually move the Panasonic further up away. So it was kind of like, wow. And these are supposed to be the same exact focal length on these lenses. Very, very strange. But I will tell you that I did upload some test video, and it does look way sharper. It really does. Now, keep in mind, recording the video tends to be sharper than when I do a stream, because I can't upload it like 15,000 kilobits per second. It's impossible. I can't do it. I have, regular, consumer internet. So, Kabuki Kid is here in chat as well. And Kabuki Kid was like, hey, is the lighting off? A Great A says it has a lot less contrast. Actually, the exposure is down. And I'm not going to get into any crazy, this is not a photography or videography show, right? It's like most people are like, oh, so what? Whatever, man. Your video, yeah, okay, whatever. But because it is the different camera, and I adjust the f-stop basically. So yeah, I could like overexpose this a little bit more, but this is how it looks. This is the real coloring. So the way I can tell, and I'll scoot my head out of the way. The way I can tell is the Pathfinder bestiary battle cards behind me. That box is not red. That box is kind of a burgundy. So that color you see right now behind me, that is what you're seeing the video. That is the exact color of that box. So rather than, doing a softer focus or anything like that, I know I still have the kind of what they call a bokeh behind me, things behind me are not in focus, which they're not supposed to. I know I get comments from people, hey, man, your video's not totally in focus. You know, I can't see the games on your shelf. And it's like, that's the way it's supposed to be. So anyway, I mean, this is how I personally look. This is my exact coloring, like so, which is kind of funny because when I changed up, because you have different like color settings in these cameras. And I had like vivid on this when I was doing the overhead shots. And I had noticed, wow, it's like my skin tone is like way oranger than it actually is. So Kabuki Kid says, yeah, some people like everything in focus. I was doing that too. I don't mind it. To me, though, I think artistically, this looks a little nicer, right? This looks a little more like you're used to seeing most people doing live streams and things like that. But I found that sometimes when it was like everything was in focus, people would be like going on in chat about, hey, what's that game down in the corner? It's kind of like, okay. All right. So Glenn says, it's all good. The camera makes me look like a damn handsome human. Gosh, no. I got to lose like 20 pounds. I really do. I can't believe I don't weigh that much more than I did when I had the heart attack, but my face was so much thinner before. Plus, this whole stuck in the house almost all the time doesn't really help. So as I mentioned before, I don't go out and about as much as most other people because my dad's 83 years old. He's got health issues. It's like, I gotta cut down on the possible exposure. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, jelly beans? All right, so let's jump on to the news tonight. Jeez, boy, like I said, it's strangely enough, it is dry in the duct tape studios. There has been little motes floating around in the air. Like, what in the world? But I do think everybody's going to appreciate what the page through looks like with this, even if you're not interested in the companion, which I'll give you a preview. I really do like it. Check out the page through a little bit to see how sharp the setup is now, using Panasonic instead. So we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. The Madman says COVID-19 is like the freshman 15. So Kabuki Kid mentions, yes, if only more people stayed in a bit more. Yeah, we're not going to really kind of discuss that a whole lot, but it's very disappointing, isn't it? Very disappointing in our fellow Americans. Anyway, moving right along. Crafty Games and Flatout Games are teaming up to release a new title. It is a tile-laying game. It is a Kickstarter. It is set in the world of boutique donut shops. Here's the dope on Dollars to Donuts. Dollars to Donuts is a puzzly, tile-laying game of donut deliciousness. Created by Flatout Games, designers of the award-winning Point Salad from AEG, and beautifully illustrated by Dylan Mangini, this light strategy game is perfect for the entire family. Manage your own donut shop and bake a beautiful collection of tasty treats in this easy-to-learn, pattern-matching resource management set collection game that defies all borders. Crafty Games is so proud to offer this new addition to our growing lineup of high-quality games for players of all ages. We first discovered Dollars to Donuts during a company summit in Washington State. Sean and Molly from Flatout came down to visit us and show off their games in development. From the moment we first played this charming game, we knew we had to publish it. Here we are almost exactly 2 years later with the game fully developed and delightfully illustrated by Dylan Mangini. We're this close to having the game in our hands, and all we need is your help deciding how much awesome to pack in the box. There is a short Kickstarter video. It's a little more than a minute and a half. So we are going to dive on in and give it a watch.
Dollars to Donuts is an easy-to-learn, quick-to-play, tile-laying set collection game that defies all borders. Unlike most tile layers, you can lay your tiles in any orientation and even hang them off the edge of your player mat. Points are scored for matching donut halves between tiles, but even mismatches help because they earn you money you can spend on donut tiles in future turns. Satisfy customers for extra points. Collect customers from each neighborhood for even more points. Fill gaps on your mat with donut holes, which is important because every empty space hurts your score at the end of the game. Dollars to Donuts was created by Flatout Games, the team behind Calico and the award-winning Point Salad. It's beautifully illustrated by Dylan Mangini and thoughtfully developed for players of all ages. Kids enjoy the simple pattern matching. Casual gamers enjoy the breezy resource management, and strategists get lost in the tight visual puzzle. Please take a moment to consider supporting our campaign. We're ready to produce this wonderful game. All we need is your support to make it a delicious reality.
You can reserve a copy of Dollars to Donuts, as well as unlock stretch goals for a $29 pledge through August 10th. This just launched today, I do believe. Expected delivery is May of next year. So that video kind of cracked me up. So correct me if I'm wrong, right? I mean, maybe I'm just thinking a little differently here. So first of all, they're playing the game and they have frosted donuts sitting there at the table. I don't know about you folks, but I certainly would not allow people to be eating frosted donuts while playing one of my games. Sorry, I just don't like people getting crap all over my games. Another thing I thought was kind of interesting is that Flatout Games is releasing this game through Crafty Games, who are known for their Mistborn games, Fantasy Craft, Spycraft 2. So they're mainly more known for role-playing games, although they did have that Mistborn House War board game. And I'm kind of surprised because I thought Flatout usually goes through AEG. I don't know, but it was a little unusual. And you know, I'm not saying anything wrong about it. I like Patrick and Alex from Crafty Games. They're always super nice to me whenever I see them. So I thought I'd share this. Kind of cool, you know, family game. I like tile laying games. There's just something about tile laying games I like. They're nice and relaxing. They're not super cutthroat. So I do want to mention people in chat are talking a little bit about the pandemic, which we can never escape this, can we? We're never getting away from it. So the madman's talking about his wife has been in public health for 30 years, and they've been doing contact tracing, and it's crazy out there. Yeah, I know. Man, I know. Wow, wow, wow. So Kabuki Kid says, I don't know if I'd want to eat blue icing. If I remember correctly, now I might be wrong, but if I remember correctly, didn't Dunkin' Donuts used to have like a blueberry donut? It was just like one of those kind of like puffy, I don't know the exact, like people think of Krispy Kremes, right? They're kind of like light, not the cake donut, kind of like puffy, fluffy sort of donut. I could have swore, I remember as a kid, they had a blueberry one, but it was just a regular donut, but it had blue frosting that had a fake blueberry taste to it. Could have swore. Might have been. So Kabuki Kid says, sorry, Jeff, I was never a big tile laying fan. But there are games that Double K likes that are tile laying. Yeah, I don't play a ton of tile laying games. I'll be the first to admit. Okay, so we're going to get a little off topic, right? Like we usually do. I mean, come on, we're just hanging out tonight, right? I don't have tons of news. I got 5 news pieces. They're not super long, right? I'm not reading like a novella or anything about each one. But is it Uwe? Is it Rosenberg? He was doing a bunch of those. He was doing like that spring, summer, winter, those tile laying games for Stronghold, and they're all kind of exactly the same. They're Tetris-y. Barren Park is another game. Now I haven't played any of these, but Barren Park's kind of another game that has that kind of like fitting these different shapes together to make your bear park. I don't know how exciting that would be. Gotta be honest. It's kind of like, yeah, okay, so you're choosing your pieces and then kind of fitting things together. Whereas I like tile laying games where, you take something and you're kind of like, oh, okay, well, I didn't know what I was going to get, right? Now I got to figure out what to do with this thing. Those games I especially like. Glenn, thank you for stepping up to the plate. It's Cottage Garden, Indian Summer. Yeah, and there's another one. I think it's Winter something. So Patchwork is another one. Yep. So Dan from No Enemies here is like, hey, my music. Anyway, so Glenn says, sorry about the virus talk. Yeah, it's all gloom and doom talk. Hey, we're allowed to vent. Hey, we're not talking politics. Because, I get in trouble whenever I voice any sort of liberal opinion. So I'll just... All right, let's move on to the next news piece. Because Pandasaurus Games is bringing the historical political game Tammany Hall back to print this September. Here's the dope. The way to have power is to take it. William Boss Tweed. Tammany Hall is a game of backstabbing, corruption, temporary alliances, and taking power at all costs. If you want to rule New York, you're going to need to play the city's growing immigrant populations against each other. Help the immigrant groups who owe you political favors call in those favors to slander your rivals and win elections. In Tammany Hall, players help immigrants settle in New York, collect political favors from those immigrant groups, send ward bosses into Manhattan to secure votes, and slander political opponents. An election is held at the end of every 4th year, and the player who uses his power base, hey, what about her power base? Best will be elected mayor. The mayor's grip on the city is tenuous at best. After each election, the mayor must pay off his political rivals by placing them in offices that they can wield to try to take control of the city. Every player is your friend. Every player is your enemy. Tammany Hall was the political machine that dominated New York City politics by organizing the immigrant populations. Well, the organization's influence spanned from its founding in the 1790s to its collapse in the 1960s. This game is set in Lower Manhattan roughly between 1850 and 1870. So, right around gangs of New York, right? The era of Boss Tweed. Tammany Hall is for 2 to 4 players, ages 8 and up, plays in around 60 to 90 minutes, and will carry an MSRP of $49.95 when it arrives in September. Have to point out, Tammany Hall was one of the first reviews I did when the Gaming Gang launched. That was back when it was, I think it was from Tree Frog Games at the time. I might be wrong, but I could have swore wasn't Tree Frog Martin Wallace's company? So I really enjoy it. Now, of course, it's talking about, backstabbing and things like that. it's very abstracted. So it's not as if you're sitting there like playing like screw your neighbor cards and things like that. It's not as cutthroat as that, but it is very interesting. Really, really do enjoy Tammany Hall. Good to see it come back. What I'm kind of curious about is now this is going to be Pandasaurus Games. I think they're like the fourth publisher for Tammany Hall. I don't know why. I mean, is it like cursed? Companies go out of business when they publish Tammany Hall? But it is a little unusual for a game that has been out. Oh, I think it originally came out, and I don't even think this is the Tree Frog one. I think it came out 2007, 2008 ish. Because I know I reviewed it in 2010, and I know it'd been out for a while. But I like political games, so I was like, oh, hey, I think I'll check this out. Nice. So, a Grade A asks, was that a Kickstarter by Pandasaurus? I don't know if it was or not. It may have been. It may have been. I got to be honest, I don't think it was, though. I don't know. I have no idea. So, Grade A saying, yeah, it's interesting that they're reprinting this. So, Kabuki Kid says, Boss Tweed, kind of a crank. Kind of? Jeez. Yeah. Civil War era, yeah, not getting too many women mayors, unfortunately. I know, but they're not talking about the mayors, they're talking about the players. So that's where I was kind of like, because it says, like, the player who uses his power base. But I will point out, this is actually the information I was just providing you. I don't know if that comes directly from Pandasaurus, because on Pandasaurus's website, they had really short, like a paragraph of info. So I went and I grabbed the Board Game Geek info on there. So usually, because they have the Pandasaurus box art and stuff like that, I would guess that's probably from Pandasaurus, but it may not be. It may not be. So Double K says, I'm picky about games with political themes. I do like Twilight Struggle. Yeah, Twilight Struggle is great. 1960 is excellent too. Really is. I have not had a chance to play enough Imperial Struggle yet to do any sort of a review. I gotta be honest, right now it's a little difficult for me to get too many multiplayer reviews out there. Got the alpha, I've got that. I'm hoping maybe on Friday to play Imperial Struggle. So we shall find out. So Origins of World War II is underrated too. That I have not played. I have not played Origins of World War II. Moving right along. This next news piece might tick some people off. I don't know. It all depends on what you think of Warhammer 40K. Because the 9th edition of Warhammer 40K is arriving on July 25th from Games Workshop. Here's the dope. The galaxy writhes in the mailed fist of all-consuming conflict. The Imperium of mankind teeters on the brink of annihilation, beset upon all sides by heretic warlords, demon-summoning witches, and rapacious alien empires. In every star system and upon every planet, fierce battle rages as loyalists, heretics, and aliens tear reality itself apart in their war for dominance. Every day, the flames rise higher. This is a more terrible era than ever before, and there is no peace amongst the stars. This is a 368-page hardback. It is the essential book for any fan of Warhammer 40,000. Everything you need to know to collect, build, paint, and play with Citadel miniatures. I'm really surprised that Games Workshop still keeps the facade that Citadel is different than them. I don't know why. Games Workshop, I would think, carries way more brand power than Citadel. But that's just me. Anyway, it starts with an overview of the Warhammer 40,000 hobby, covering the 4 areas of collecting, building, painting, and playing, including descriptions of open, matched, and narrative play. There is a new style of play. It is called Crusade. Crusade is a new way to play games of Warhammer 40K. It allows you to take a collection of miniatures and taking them on a crusade. Level up your units over any number of games against any number of opponents, forging your own narrative for your miniatures collection as they engage with their enemies on the battlefields of the 41st millennium. Over your crusade games, will you be able to grow your army, gain experience and skills, and modify your weaponry? Though you may start off with a small band of inexperienced warriors, you can create an elite fighting force that is renowned and feared across the galaxy. The 368-page core rulebook for Warhammer 40K will carry an MSRP of $65 when it arrives, as I said previously, on July 25th. Grady says, Tammany Hall was Stratamax. That's the edition I had. I think I've still got it. It's buried someplace because I'm pretty sure I did not give away my copy of Tammany Hall when I moved from Arizona. Unfortunately, I couldn't bring all the games I had out there. So my buddy Louie made out like a bandit. My buddy Louie out in Tempe, Arizona. All right. Anyway, I'll be very honest. I would not mind checking this out. I know I sit there and I talk about, I'm not a big fan of how Games Workshop does business. I mean, their business model just doesn't, it rubs me the wrong way. Plus the way they have treated retailers in the past, it rubs me the wrong way. But I wouldn't mind seeing this rule book. I would not mind checking this out. I played I played a little bit of Warhammer. I played more Epic back in the day, but I used to pick up like Warhammer Fantasy. I was one of these people, I just had way too much money to burn. So I'd be buying RPG books and miniature rules and all this other stuff that never actually saw the light of day at my game table. But we did play a lot of Epic. I had a lot of Epic stuff. Or it was originally Adeptus Titanus. I think it's Adeptus Titanus, which I think is what it's called again. Don't know. So Glenn says $65 is kind of steep for a miniatures rulebook. I know it's Games Workshop, but too rich for my blood. So Grade A says there are so many better mini games. And Kabuki Kid says, yeah, GW is always quality, but always pricey. Yeah, that's the problem I've got. Is I understand you want to make a profit in that, and Games Workshop does pretty well as far as profit margin. Some of their stuff, it's just, wow, seriously, you're charging that much? I don't know. So Kabuki Kid says, when the heck is GW going to put out Space Hulk expansions for 3E and 4E? I don't know, probably never. I mean, the reality is probably never. Games Workshop has this thing where they love they just love to release stuff and then they'll support it for maybe a year and then so it wasn't they're like their game of like fighting factions, kind of like Hive Planet, right? Was it Nick Ramunda or something like that, which I mean originated in White Dwarf magazine, because I remember that's when I was checking it out, is because I used to get White Dwarf every month. And I remember that kind of came about out of the magazine. And then, of course, it became like a published game. The one that they did that was kind of a Car Wars sort of game. Once again, published that, supported it for about a year. And then they did same thing with Epic. And they brought Epic back a couple of times over the years, and some of the stuff I have seen just because they're 6mm. I couldn't believe what they were charging for the little 6mm minis because on the sprues, which I think like the box set, you'd get like 4 sprues and they were pricey back in the day. And then, of course, if you wanted vehicles in that, well, yeah, big money on those, even being 6mm. And I don't know. I have no idea. So Kabuki Kid says, yeah, Necromunda Knight's Vault, or Night Vault, I should say. I am not familiar with that. Night Vault, I'm not sure. Maybe that's a fantasy skirmish game. Great little games, Double K says. So Great A says you got War Master. I mean, there's loads of different miniatures games out there. I would still like to actually kickstart maybe a new edition of Knights and Magic, which I own, the old Heritage miniatures game. Kind of do a new edition of it. We had played around with some new rules and stuff. I don't know. The thing is, I just never have time. I don't have time. And then the thing is, if I invest a bunch of time into it and then I try to kickstart it and then it doesn't go anywhere, and it's sort of like, well, I wasted all that time. Let's get back to the news because I got another Kickstarter for you. This one looks really interesting because there is a Call of Cthulhu Kickstarter for Sons of the Singularity. It's in its final week. I think it's got about 5 or 6 days to go. I've got the dope on Journal l'Indochine. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it. Journal d'Indochine is a set of scenarios and campaign resources for the Call of Cthulhu 7th edition role-playing game set in French colonial Vietnam, approximately 1925 to 1955. A land in turmoil as Vietnamese partisans resist French colonial oppressors and Japanese invaders. The first half of the 20th century was a time of chaos and political ferment in French Indochina. As foreign imperialists struggled to maintain their precarious grip on the region, the people of the land worked to overthrow their tormentors. Radical religious movements like the Cao Dai sprung up to spread the blessings of a strange and unfathomable God. Ho-Ho Buddhist, I think, How? I can barely pronounce English, right? Buddhist militias supported the prophecy of the return of a king. Binjun gangsters schemed to gain territory for their criminal enterprises. All the while, student revolutionaries preached new secular philosophies that promised utopia for the downtrodden workers. While the world seethed with conflict and change, hidden entities from far off in time and space have taken root in the jungles, gained footholds on the beaches, and found supplicants in the cities of Indochina. Some of these entities offer the temptation of enlightenment and power to those who could unlock their eldritch secrets, while some of these entities simply desire some hors d'oeuvres after a long hibernation. Journal d'Indochine covers a region and time period that has rarely been covered in the role-playing game world. It is designed to help the keeper and players quickly get up to speed on French Indochina's history, themes, and factions. Journal d'Indochine will include vital information on the region, as well as numerous lore sheet handouts. The Journal will be a 200-plus page book containing the following: 4 play-out-of-the-box scenarios, each scenario crafted for different play styles, including campaign, sandbox, dungeon crawl. We don't usually use that term for Call of Cthulhu. Intrigue and betrayal mechanics. Also, a collection of narrative frameworks and hooks for campaign play. It's full of rich historical events and fascinating factions, including, I am going to get a lot of these wrong. Well, maybe not. Binjun gangsters, Vichy French, OSS operatives, Japanese imperialists, How. That's the one I think I'm not getting right. Buddhist militia, mythos cultists, and many more. Also include tons of art, maps, journal entries, and useful keeper's aids for a wide range of civil and military documents. There are photos from personal and familiar archives and this is pretty amazing, including never before released photos from the Battle of Dien Bien Phu. Unlocked is a stretch goal, which is the Legionnaire's field manual. At the Lang stretch goal level, the Legionnaire's field manual will be unlocked and available for backers at the Legionnaire Capitan level and above. Book contains at least 100 pages in length, 2 more scenarios, new player factions, including the French Foreign Legion, new scenario hooks and new lore sheets, at least 10 new pre-generated characters, a botanist guide to flora from the Plateau of Sung, new weapons and equipment, and new art. There is a short video. Doesn't really share much, I gotta be honest. But it is for the Kickstarter. Let's kick back and give it a peek.
French Indochina, the jewel of the French Empire, but synonymous with oppression and turmoil, intrigue and danger. The tumultuous colony offers both opportunities and perils. For a quarter of a century, until the Viet Minh defeated colonial forces in 1954, the region was caught in a web of political intrigue, military uprising, and industrial malfeasance. Various factions from all walks of life plotted for political clout and monetary gain. Betrayal and bloodshed were a common sight. Amidst the instability, clandestine organizations seek out ancient powers that would seal the destiny of Indochina and the world. Investigate strange happenings on a rubber plantation deep in the jungles of Indochina. Follow the footsteps of an eldritch touch missionary to a mystical city of gold. Spoil Japanese plans that could change the course of World War II. Conduct deep cover espionage for wearing military powers. Parachute into the valley of Dien Bien Phu during the climatic battle that ended the First Indochina War, and encounter another invader lurking in the battlefield. The Sons of Singularity, in association with Chaosium, presents its Call to Cthulhu sequel to the Sassoon Files, Journal d'Indochine.
The Journal d'Indochine, or Chine. I would think it's Chine because it's like Indochina. I'm sure I'm wrong, but I don't know. Anyway, this Kickstarter is over 600% funded. You can reserve copies of both books, physical books, as well as loads of other goodies which have been unlocked for an $80 pledge through July 20th. Expected delivery is this December. That is a pretty quick turnaround. So I would take a guess much of this stuff is already done. One of the cool kind of so Dan says it's Indochine. Well, there you go. Duh. What can I tell you? Thanks, Dan. So, hey, I never claimed to know everything, right? But I was going to say one of the unlocked stretch goals are those posters. So the posters that I'm sharing, such as what you're looking at right now, those are actually unlocked as a stretch goal that you actually get those. So, so Great Ace says the narrator pronounced some of the stuff strangely. Yeah, like I said, I don't know. This does look pretty interesting. It really does. One thing that I do want to mention that I did not get into as far as, because there's way more information about this Kickstarter. I just didn't get all of it because I didn't want to sit here for 10 minutes reading it. But I believe the authors actually lived in this region. I think they lived in Vietnam. So this is supposed to be very respectful of their culture. We can kind of see it's kind of coming from the oppressed point of view is what I would say we're probably looking at. I would not be surprised if player characters would play Vietnamese. Of course, also has that unlocked stretch goal book where you could have player characters who were French Foreign Legion. But yeah, this is pretty cool. I always like to see Call of Cthulhu in various different historical settings. In fact, I mentioned that in my review of the Call of Cthulhu Keeper rulebook that I posted yesterday. All right, we've got one last news piece because there is an interesting looking role-playing game. It's arrived in PDF. It's from Lantern's Faun Press. And I've got the dope on Into the Bronze. Into the Bronze is a role-playing game of sword, sorcery, and sandals in Mesopotamia from the Bronze Era. The plains between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers hide silent, gloomy valleys where demons and lesser gods devise their evil plans. Defy the gods of Sumeria, behold the beginning of civilization. Created as an Into the Odd hack, Into the Bronze drinks from the same source as the old school games. There are 36 available backgrounds, 6 of which have access to a modular magic system by Magical Intonations. Includes several tables for creating scenarios and hexagons of your own bronze lands, a bestiary with its own creatures for players' immersion. It's a beautiful layout, that's according to them, and it includes awesome public domain images. Gotta be honest, I'm not used to companies going, hey, we got great public domain stuff. You can also grab character sheets in A4 and letter paper size absolutely free. This 60-page PDF of Into the Bronze is available right now at DriveThruRPG for $12. I wanted to share it because it kind of jumped out to me. It's like, okay, role-playing in Mesopotamia. Pretty wild. I do believe that Lantern's Faun Press is out of Brazil, I think. But I thought this was kind of interesting. One thing I will mention, though, I do find, I think $12 for a 60-page PDF is a little pricey. When we start getting beyond like the 10 cents a page, 15 cents a page, then I start going, it's a little pricey. But still, I wanted to share that because it does look pretty damn interesting. So I do want to mention Mark Clement joined us in chat. So I always do my best to try to say howdy as people pop in. But a Great A was talking about that they were looking towards backing that Call of Cthulhu Kickstarter. Yeah, it does look really interesting. I gotta say, it piqued my interest. That's why I'm sharing it. So before I wrap up tonight, there was one thing that I do want to mention, and I've kind of brought this up before, but I think I've kind of floated this out more on Twitter than anything else. I am going to look to try to focus more on smaller companies who really can use a bit more signal boost, I guess we'll say. So don't worry, I'm still going to share stories about big companies that, we like, who support us. But like Fantasy Flight Games, everybody knows I almost never share Fantasy Flight Games news. A, because they don't need the signal boost. Asmodee really doesn't need any signal boosting. And they never send me anything to review anyway. So, but I do want to start, get some love out there for some of the smaller companies. I also do have pinned on the Twitter, which is at the Gaming Gang. If there's any particular gaming companies that you feel deserve some more love, let me know, because I'm more than happy to share news from them. Yeah, maybe even reach out, see about maybe doing some reviews and that. But, just trying to bring you what I find interesting. That's really what I mainly do as far as the news. Yeah, I'll run across stuff and I'm go, yeah, I bet that would probably draw traffic to the website. And then I think, but it's just not, it's not up my alley. So All right. Anyway, Grade A's rocking out. I see that Dan from No Enemies Here has hung out a little later than usual. Viber Dave has popped in. Well, that means I got to go. Viber Dave shows up and it's like, well, got to wrap up. Anyway, really, I am wrapping up. But do want to remind everybody tonight, if you have any interest in the Enemy in Shadows Companion, I'll have my review up probably about an hour and a half-ish. It's already uploaded. I just, have to tweak a few little things. But, so look forward to that. And then tomorrow's video that I upload is going to be a surprise. So hopefully everything's sharper. Oh, the other thing I should say is later on tonight or tomorrow or whenever, check out, even if you have no interest in this, check out the video, jump to where I'm paging through, and you should see, fingers crossed, YouTube, you should see that the actual overhead shots are going to be sharper with the Panasonic. I don't know, it's weird, right? So the Sony sharper facing me now, and the Panasonic is sharper as the overhead. I don't get it. I don't know. Alrighty then. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. Of course, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. If you do subscribe, ring that notification bell because it will not only let you know when the Daily Dope streams live right here on YouTube, Monday through Thursday nights. It'll also tell you when I upload videos such as this one as well. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Those of you who hung out in chat, thank you very much. Always appreciate people keeping me company while I'm doing the stream. Get a little discussion going, people having fun. I know Dan from No Enemies Here really likes the chat. But of course, if you don't have an opportunity to watch live, and maybe you're even watching on Memorex, I certainly appreciate you taking time out to watch as well. I love the fact anybody takes time out of their busy lives to see this goofball doing stuff. So, anyway, everybody enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night / Wednesday morning. I will be back tomorrow. And of course, as I sign off during this time of pandemic, let me also remind you to be smart, stay safe. Oh, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. And of course, if you want to catch up on past episodes of The Daily Dope, check out this playlist. And if you'd like to see what YouTube's recommending you take a peek at from the channel, just give a click right over here. Of course, I'm Jeff McAleer, and once again, thank you very much for watching.